Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily, as we're calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition. We turn now to poem 356, The Day That I Was Crowned. We're going to be returning to a number of poems where crowns or crowning was talked about as we get into this poem. We're going to try to remember Emily loves this royalty language, as we've called it in the past. Now, this is another poem about some kind of momentous moment. A crowning is what she will call it. But it isn't exactly clear what she's referencing. And of course, we've seen this a number of times already in our study. And our assumption is that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've worked with our set of introductory comments. I'm really hopeful that you've been reading with us the preceding 355 poems. We just finished with 355, Tis Opposites Entice. If you have, then you know that Emily is often talked in this language of celebration of something that's been done, that, again, a crown, something that has been accomplished that is to be celebrated, or maybe not always celebrated but questioned. Now, we're not clear what the crown here is. Is it, for example, a possible declaration of love towards her? Is it possible that she is ready to accept and to celebrate this amazing poetic skill that she recognizes increasingly that she has? Whatever it is, it happens on a day. The day that I was crowned was like the other days until the coronation came, and then 'twas otherwise. As carbon in the coal and carbon in the gem are one, and yet the former were dull for diadem, I rose, and all was plain. But when the day declined, myself and it in majesty were equally adorned. The grace that I was chose to me surpassed the crown. That was the witness for the grace. 'Twas even that 'twas mine. Now again, it isn't abundantly clear what it is that has happened in this day. Notice capitalized, both times referenced. But it is something that she says she was crowned. Now, when we get to poem 508, we'll hear this use of this crowned again. And the way she'll say it here is, I'm seated, I've stopped being theirs. The name they dropped upon my face with water in the country church is finished using now, and they can put it with my dolls, my childhood, and the string of spools I finished threading too. Baptized before without the choice, but this time consciously of grace, unto supremest name, called to my full, the crescent dropped, existence whole arc filled up with one small diadem. My second rank too small, the first crowned, crowning on my father's breast, a half unconscious queen, but this time adequate, erect, with will to choose or to reject, and I choose just a crown. When we get to poem 631, she'll say it this way: ourselves were wed one summer, dear, your vision was in June, and when your little lifetime failed, I wearied too of mine, and overtaken in the dark, where you had put me down by someone carrying a light, I too received the sign. 'Tis true, our futures different lay, our cottage faced the sun, while oceans in the north must be on every side of mine. 'Tis true, your garden led the bloom, for mine in frosts were sown, and yet one summer we were queens, but you were crowned in June. Now, whatever this crowning is, and again we don't know, it was like the other days, the day was like the other days until the coronation came. We're going to see this coronation, we already saw it in poem 151. We're going to see it again in 385. We're going to see it again in 1735. And then, after the coronation, 'twas otherwise. In other words, something happened. We can obviously think of Jean Piaget's idea that some moment happens in our education. Vygotsky called it that getting somehow outside the zone of proximal development, and it's there when all the major learning happens. And then she'll use this interesting observation. We've already commented on her love of rock, her love of the way in which rock can be formed. As carbon in the coal and carbon in the gem are one, and yet the former were dull for diadem. In other words, coal, you don't put that, you only put diamonds on the crown, right? I rose, and all was plain. It isn't clear what she means here by this idea of playing. She referencing herself. But when the day decline ended, myself and it, the crown, in majesty were equally adorned. The grace, well, we're going to use grace here now twice at the end of the poem, that I was chose to me surpassed the crown. Now you'll remember this use of crown in poems 79, 93, 98, 144, 159, 166, 195, 231, 232, 312, 336. All of them referencing the crown. There will be 11 more poems, as we just referenced, 508 and 631, that will follow. So she uses this royalty language regularly. That, the crown, was the witness for the grace. Now, obviously, there's that famous Revelation 3:16 line, "Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." And I think Emily is definitely channeling that passage when she's playing this game, when she uses the word witness. For the grace, 'twas even that was mine. She and the day are now equally adorned. For her, the crown, and obviously for the day, the sunset. What exactly is being suggested here in this poem at 2a? I think she's arguing that a special gift can change your day, your outlook on life, whatever that is, the crown. At 2b, I love all the royalty language of this poem. At 3a, think about all the poems that we've already listed here about that deal with this idea of crowns. And obviously the Revelation 3:16 passage, as we said. Finally, at 3b, what was a time when you were given some kind of special crown, some kind of special gift, and it changed your day? I'm hoping your study of these poems are doing that very thing. Thank you.